This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Do you play FanDuel and feel like you aren't creating consistent money-making lineups? Go over to the DFS Doctors on Twitter at the DFS Doctors and DM them with promo code Detroit Sports to get a free trial for their analytically formulated 70% lifetime profit rate NFL and NBA lineups. The whole purpose of playing daily fantasy sports is to get out there and compete and give yourself a chance to win. So go over to the DFS Doctors. Let them help you. They have analysts on staff that look at the best optimal lineup that you can put out there to win money. So why not take advantage? At the DFS Doctors, promo code Detroit Sports.
CBD is a game changer sweeping the nation. This hemp extract is the natural way to elevate your mood, eliminate aches and pains, reduce anxiety, and keep you sleeping all night long. It can even cut your workout recovery time in half. Get in the game today with 20% off all orders of CBD and lavender products from Lavender Lane, a lavender farm located right here in Milan, Michigan. Just go to lavenderlanemi.com today and enter coupon code Detroit for 20% off your entire order. Guys, look, these amazing products are infused with calming lavender to maximize their effectiveness, meaning your CBD items only take minutes to take effect, which is way quicker than those pills you were about to swallow. On top of it, they are perfect for men and women. Lavender Lane has lab-tested CBD creams, tinctures, and roll-ons that are perfect for any situation, even if you're on the go. Put your health back in your hands by heading over to lavenderlanemi.com and entering coupon code Detroit for 20% off your entire order of CBD and lavender products. What do you have to lose? Your satisfaction is guaranteed or your money back. So if you need lavender gifts for your loved ones or just looking for the natural way to ease your discomfort with CBD, go to lavenderlanemi.com and use coupon code Detroit to unlock these miraculous benefits of CBD and lavender. That's lavenderlanemi.com. And remember, use coupon code DETROIT for 20% off your CBD and lavender products from Michigan's own Lavender Lane.
Welcome in, everybody, to the latest edition of Doc and Jock. I am the Doc, John Macaroon. Look, even though we are now officially quarantined, Adam and I are not recording in the presence of each other in Sterling Heights. We are recording from remote locations, but come hell or high water, we're going to record Doc and Jock. Even if it's for 5 minutes, we will put out content on this Thursday. I'm staring at him. Unfortunately, I don't think he came dressed for the job, but that's okay. Adam, the Jock Strozinski. So everybody that listens to us wants to know, you wearing pants, bro?
I totally have pants on, but I'm covered in baby oil right now. So if you listen to any of our other podcasts, you know the deal. But I do have pants on. I just got home from work, man.
Oh, so you're still okay? So for me,
I'm still working. I'm still working.
Look, I said to myself I was going to hold out as long as possible in regards to how this was going to go down. And I said, okay, if the governor shuts the state down, I'm not going to chance it because it's always better to be safe than sorry. So I looked at it and I said, you know what? If the state is going to be shut down, why chance it? I am fully capable of doing all the visits via telephone. The insurance companies have told me, hey, you can do your thing. I can do all the work that I'm doing with SI and Maven and all the sports and the podcast. The technology is so great that literally, cuz I don't think I ever have to leave my house again for anything. I can do everything from the house.
So when are you going to start taking your pants off and doing your job with nothing on?
I have nothing on right now. I was like, you know what? I can see why free balling it is awesome, man. It's great. Underwear is restrictive. Pants are restrictive. Why wear pants when you can do sessions buck-ass naked, man? It's fun.
By the way, looking at you on this video conference that we've got set up, I really think when we come back, you need to shave the beard, but rock the mustache.
Do it?
Yeah, because your mustache looks good right now.
It is. Okay.
It looks like an 80s porn stash for sure.
You know what? I might just do a couple photos before we do the whole thing because of the fact that I got to do videos daily for the sports site. It's good because they're distributing videos now all over the country. So I got to look professional with these interviews, but maybe just for a couple hours we could take some fun photos. And I do look good with the facial hair. I'm not going to lie.
You do. It really like shapes your face a little bit. And
yeah,
dude, you look like a grizzled journalist, if you will.
Now,
you look good.
If you're quarantined, I got to tell you something, okay? I'm not too much into binge watching. Usually I can watch a couple shows here and there, all right, but I watched Tiger King
Dude, is this good or what? Everybody's talking about this.
Bro, I'm a psychologist, and with my 15 years expertise about people, I was blown away by all the storylines. Bro, there are literally 15 storylines in the 7 episodes. It's the craziest shit you're ever going to see in 7 hours of your life. You're like, there are people out there living this, doing this, trying this. It's the wildest shit I've ever seen. Once I started the first 10 minutes, I was hooked all the way through. I went from 7 p.m. to like 3 in the morning. And I was just like, I can't believe it, man. The Tiger King is literally one of the greatest collections of Netflix content that I've ever seen. Just watch it. Watch it. It's unbelievable. It's crazy. It's crazy. The narratives, the storylines. And look, spoiler alert, the Tiger King is, about these individuals, these different sections of people that are into exotic tigers. And one of the this is like the third storyline. One of the third storylines, is this guy married 2 dudes that were straight. And the reason why these dudes married him was because he gave them drugs and he gave them stuff because the dude had money. So he found 2 dudes that were young, that were drug addicted, that he spent and splurged, and he was their sugar daddy. And you come to find out these dudes are like nailing chicks on the side, and they were just with him for the stuff. And you're like, what the hell? How is this possible? There's like 15 more of those in terms of the storylines. It's so worth it. It literally, I was going to say to you in terms of me missing live sports, I don't miss it at all. I'm just great on the NFL, great on it. And you know why I was thinking? I was like, why don't I miss sports? The Tigers fucking suck. The Red Wings fucking suck. I don't miss it because every day I'm not waking up going, how do these bum-ass teams lose? I don't miss the live sports at all. I'm just covering the NFL, peeking into the rumors and news there, and I'm binge-watching the shit out of Amazon documentaries and Netflix. It's been great. I'm like, you know what? This has been the greatest time of my life. All the other sports that sucked in Detroit kind of just have been like filtered down a toilet drain, and I'm just left with the one bum-ass team, and that's the Lions. So, Tiger King, if you're out there listening, watch it. Just sit down, block out the world, and you're going to be just amazed at the level of chaos and the 15 different storylines. Like every week there's like 2 or 3 more wild-ass people that show up in the show that you're like, what the fuck is going on here? It's great. I never wanted it to end.
Yeah, I heard it was totally awesome. I've got to check it out. I haven't seen it yet. I am currently getting caught up on all of the John Wick movies. I just watched John Wick 1 the other night. I'm about to watch John Wick 2 probably tonight. So, look, I was told John Wick is excellent. And I'm going to let you know probably next week after I watch 2 and 3 what I thought of the trilogy. So that's where I'm at with my quarantine watching. Were you shocked at all when this came down? Because it seemed to be like there was rumblings that were happening late last week with everything that was going on, and then it was like all of a sudden, this is what's happening, this is where we're at, everything is now shut down, and at my job, I have no idea why I'm still allowed to work, but I still go in every day. They gave me a little paper to show that I'm an essential employee. I don't get it. I work at a gym. You explained it to me. I don't know. But I'm able to still work. I know you're doing things from home. The roads basically look like a ghost town. If you try getting around anywhere, there are still cars on the road, which I was kind of shocked at the traffic, really and truly. But there's not a lot of cars or a lot of vehicles or a lot of people on the road. So I was kind of blown away by all of this taking place and kind of how this has continued to facilitate and kind of trickle down, seeing how we're in our 3-week window of quarantine here. But never in a million years did I ever anticipate us being here. And I'm a conspiracy theorist. And in my deepest, darkest recesses of my mind, I have totally thought about this day. And this really messes with my mental health because this is one of those things that absolutely terrifies me. And here we are kind of living this, right? So the government has imposed that we have to stay in our homes. You really shouldn't be going anywhere. Basically, there's this biological weapon that's going out there attacking everybody in the form of this virus. And this is where we are today. And you and I are still lucky enough to do this podcast and bring this to everybody who wants to listen. But for real, man, this messes with me hardcore because, I'm crazy. I wear the tinfoil. and I read all the crazy things online. But this is nuts, and here we are today, quarantined to our own homes. You really can't go out unless it's for something essential like getting food, getting gas, or if you have a place of employment that requires you to be there. But never in a million years would I ever have thought that we'd be here.
Never. I kind of had a feeling it was going to happen, but nationwide. So to have it on a state level, I just felt like, okay, once Ohio did it, because Michigan has kind of been trending in terms of following Ohio. So I looked at it and said, okay, it's going to happen. I just didn't think I was going to do it. But then you just start thinking, okay, what's the logistics of doing it? Can I talk to all my clients over the phone? Yes. Could I record a podcast this day and age at home? I think we can do that as well in this day of technology. I can record with you and Skype and do things, and we can figure out stuff of telephone recording. So the podcast could go on. Could I write and do this work on the website? Yes. Could I see the kids a little bit more? It's been great. So I said to myself, doing the cost analysis, well, what's really going to be lost if I decide to stay at home? So it's been great. And I did not ever think it would get to this at the state level. I just thought that they would just start to say, okay, you know what? If you're not well, stay home. I never thought it would get to this point, but once Ohio did, it kind of was inevitable. I don't think the nation's going to do it. I think that what's going to happen now is you've started to see the stocks kind of come back. Yes, this week is going to peak in Michigan, but I really believe now more people are taking it seriously. They're staying home. Nobody's going out too much. I think that people maybe can use that $1,000 buffer that if the government ever sends it out, and that takes care of a week or two for a lot of people. So in this day and age, if this virus is spreading so aggressively and what you got to do is just sit our ass home for 2 weeks, then let's just do it. And I'm taking the stance of it's better safe than sorry. I don't want to get sick. I don't want to catch a flu. I got so much going on. It'd be the worst time ever to slow down. I'm like trying to go 5 paces faster. So it's been great. I've loved it. I feel good. My days are going by really fast. The wife and I have only argued like 10 times, so it's not bad. I thought it'd be 50. So we're doing pretty good in terms of getting along. And so, hey, a midday Hummer is never a bad thing either. So it's you know, hey, honey, you know, I need a release. So it's never a bad situation, you know, for me in that front. I'm like, you know what? She's like, God, go back to the office. You're such a pervert. I'm like, dude, yeah, this is great. I can get it on demand.
I love it. I can get it on demand.
I'm getting it on demand, man. I'm gonna hey, if I'm going out, you know, like a jackhammer.
Yeah. That's
one thing that gets better.
I like how you're jackhammering my cousin. That's great.
One thing that gets better, you know, as a 19-year-old, I wasn't the best. I'm pretty good.
You've learned a few things, huh?
Oh yeah, I've learned a few things. Age is great on that department.
I like how you've added to your repertoire there.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you leveled up.
I'm getting the finger now because the wife's hearing.
Oh, that's the best. I love it.
It's great, man. I'm happy. I'm not lying. I'm not going to lie to you. You got to. You got to keep it fresh. You got to keep it working. Because once you stop, it dies. Period. That's the rule. You know, it's a big thing in relationships coming from a counselor that if that situation ain't on point, find somebody else.
Right.
It's a big deal, right?
It is a big deal. Absolutely. Right. I mean, I can tell you all about it. I mean, you look what I just went through. So if you want to talk about it, we can talk about it. Maybe we save that for another podcast.
We'll save that if we're quarantined for next week. Definitely, we'll get into all that. All right, because a lot of news with the Detroit Lions. Oh my God, in terms of free agency, in terms of how last week went, in terms of all the Patriots, in terms of how we felt, in terms of did the team get better. Overall, in regards to the Lions and Darius Slay and how they're shaking out, I'm starting to think now that this coronavirus, the COVID-19 pandemic, could affect not the NFL season in totality. I think they'll play the 16 games. But you're starting to hear whispers that maybe training camp could be delayed because you got to remember, the teams aren't getting a lot of the players tested at the level that they need to. The league officially on Wednesday at 6 told everybody, hey, shut it down and let's slow it down and only essential things are going to happen at these buildings. So right now, this pandemic, this virus could potentially affect the NFL. I never thought it would, but this could be fascinating how long this drags out in regards to the virus and the NFL. The other sports, they're going to have to figure it out, maybe play into the fall and maybe cancel some things. But in terms of football, this is really affecting the Lions in regards to something very serious. The teams that want to evaluate Tua might not be able to test him thoroughly enough to get all the data points that they need to make the decision. So the Lions might be screwed by the virus in one of the epic ways in regards to having to sit and take the number 3 pick.
See, I see it a little bit different. If nobody can get out there and see Tua, right, and nobody can perform their medicals, nobody has time to really sit with all of the draftees, I think everybody's on a level playing field, right? So, like, Detroit is put in a spot where it doesn't matter. It's a total crapshoot anyways. The draft is a crapshoot. It's just a roll of the dice. Sometimes you get guys who are really good. Sometimes you get guys that are really bad. Hopefully your coaching staff and your organization can help develop talent if it's there. And I believe most of these guys do have talent. That's why they're in these spots. You just got to hope that they don't screw it up. I think if the draft either A, gets postponed or continues as it's supposed to, I think it works as a benefit for Detroit, especially if people can't perform their medicals, if teams can't sit down with the draftees, if teams can't go out there and watch them at their pro days. Everybody's now on a level playing field and has the same exact information. All you've got is game tape from what they did in college. All you have is what they did at the combine, and you don't have that ability to have that one-on-one interaction with them unless you had that at the combine. So I think this helps Detroit because everybody else has now essentially been taken down a notch. I think both you and I believe that this organization is flawed. Top to bottom, it is flawed. The way they handle things, the way they do things, the staff that they have is not the best staff that you could possibly get. I think both you and I believe that if you were to compare Detroit's, whether it be their medical team or whether it be their scouting department or whether it be their front office, to pick any team in the league, I think we would both find shortcomings with the way Detroit stacks up to those other organizations. So I think this helps level everything out for Detroit. And you're right, they might not be able to move back in the draft, and they might get stuck taking Tua. If they get stuck taking Tua, I don't necessarily think I mind that, because it might be the best thing that happens to them.
Not particularly stuck taking Tua, stuck in that they got to stay at
in the
number
third
3.
pick.
They can't move it, because what do the Lions need desperately? I think the dream scenario, and I wrote about
multiple pieces.
Yes, I wrote a 3-round mock draft in which the Lions were able to select 5 players in 3 rounds, 2 in the first round, 1 in the second, and 2 in the third. And you know how many talented players you could have gotten? You could get, in that mock draft I wrote, that the Lions they traded it back and took Okudah 5th. With the 18th pick, they got Kinlaw. In the second round, they were able to secure Terrell Lewis. In the third round, you were able to get Donovan Peoples-Jones. And so you're able to, with that mock draft, and then the last pick in the third round, I have the Lions selecting Jalen Hurts. So now you get 3 defensive players, 2 offensive players. Yeah, and you go, the last couple in the third round, you go, okay, address some offense too as well by getting an explosive wide receiver potentially and a quarterback that you can develop. So with 5 picks, if you want to go in different directions, you can do a lot of things. Being pigeonholed and taking 3, what's going to end up happening and what everybody's currently in the phase that we're in, what they're mocking is that they have the Lions taking Okudah. It's not bad, but at number 3, you're not.
I don't think you can take that. Right. You can't take that position player at 3. You just can't.
Right.
Right.
You can't.
Exactly.
And it would be a big problem, a big mistake, a big struggle if that was the case. You take them at 5, it eases the blow a little bit.
Well, as long as you get something right, as long as you get something in compensation, you have to leverage that position. Detroit does not. Detroit's in a weird spot, right? Going into this draft, they don't need a quarterback because it seems they believe in Matt Stafford, right? Whether you believe in him or not, they believe in Matt Stafford. So you don't need a quarterback. There's not a defensive player that will be available to you that is a J.J. Watt type, right? Chase Young is that player. by all accounts, he's going to be gone at 2. So you're in a weird spot where you are high enough, but you're not high enough to be able to get the guy that's going to really help change your team and really help separate you as an organization. So you have to leverage this spot, and you've got to move back in the draft. What you need is you need one team, maybe 2 teams, to fall in love with Tua. That's what you really need. If you can get 1 or 2 teams to fall in love with Tua, now you have a bidding war, or you have a team that's willing to move up to grab him that says, hey, we do not want to lose play. We don't want to lose out on this player. We want to get him. So we're willing to give you whatever it is that you need. So Detroit's in a precarious spot, because if they can't leverage that position, what do you do? You know, as a franchise, what do you do? Look, Okudah might be the best cornerback in this draft, right? He might be the best cornerback in the next 3 drafts. He is in a position of what we would call luxury, right? He's not a guy who's going to be a game changer for your team. You know, how many cornerbacks get drafted and instantly make an impact? How many cornerbacks in the league today are guys that can turn a game on its head, right? I mean, you watch Nick Bosa chase quarterbacks down from sideline to sideline. Nick Bosa is a game changer. That pass rushing defender is a game changer. There are linebackers in the league who are game changers. Cornerback is a position of luxury, and you can't hedge your bets, and you can't get pigeonholed into taking either Okudah at 3 or even a guy like Isaiah Simmons. We both love Isaiah Simmons. We both think he's a great player. But you can't take him at 3 because essentially he's positionless. He's not necessarily just a linebacker. He's not just an edge rusher. He's not just a safety. He's a utility knife. You can't invest a pick that high in a position that is of luxury. You need to be able to go grab a guy who's going to either make an immediate impact, or you've got to move back in the draft to then get one of those guys that we just talked about if they're available. So they're in a really tough spot.
So, and that's the thing that I think Detroit supporters and those that have watched Bob Quinn, he hasn't been aggressive enough in terms of making these deals on draft day. He hasn't shown the ability to, finagle teams and work with teams to get those extra picks at the high end. Yeah, he's moved up and down in the 3rd round, secured talent and things like that. Moved down from talent to get extra picks and things like that. Obviously, you're going to get another pick in the 3rd round as a result of moving on from Darius Slay. So you look at it and you say, okay, Bob Quinn, in the regular season, in terms of moving out from talent, does a good job. But on draft day, can he make that deal? Can he pick up the phone? Can he call Miami? And look, at the same token, recall, Miami can call the Lions bluff. They can assume that, if the Lions don't take Tua, if the Lions hold true to form because of the way in which they've shown the love for Matthew Stafford, then they can just say, we're not going to offer you another pick in the 1st round. Why would we offer you 2 first-round picks in 2020 when we don't really believe you're going to take 2 anyway? So they can just sit there and go, no. They can just sit there, and right now the Lions are not negotiating from a position of strength because of how they played this. I think Miami will call the bluff, and they can get 2 at 5 because the Giants aren't taking them. Potentially the Redskins aren't taking them. So you're pretty much in a good spot, other than if the Redskins maybe dangle that out there that Tua's amazing and they can do it, but you're hearing whispers that they love Haskins, and they're not going to do that because they love Chase Young. So the Dolphins can, if they play their cards right and gamble, and they come up positive and they hit, they can get 2 at number 5 without sacrificing shit. And I think that's a scenario that's Bob Quinn's fault. That's a scenario that's terrible. That's not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to leverage that position. You're supposed to make people believe you're going to take Tua and really jack up the price. But I just think at the end of the day, they have maneuvered their chess pieces around so that no matter what, at 3 or 5, they're taking one guy, and that's Jeff Okudah. He's going to be the cornerback that's going to be there to develop, and they're going to go forward with that for the next couple seasons and hope that that's the best. So I don't see the scenario where it's A+ for the Lions. I think it's going to be an okay situation if they get him at 3, but everybody will be like, man, we wish we could have got more, much more. But you haven't done it right. You haven't played the chessboard just right.
No, I think you're right. And I think Bob Quinn has – he does suck. But I think he's pigeonholed himself with the moves he made during free agency, which I don't necessarily think made them a better team. I think he let a lot of guys go, and then he basically took Band-Aids and covered up bullet holes.
You feel like you're treading water, right, Cuz? You feel like you're treading water?
I don't feel like there was an impactful move that was made. I don't see, when I look at the moves that he made during free agency and then I project what might happen with the draft, I just don't see how this team got light years better. I get that you're counting on Matt Stafford coming back, and I get that you feel that having Matt Stafford makes you a totally different ball club. Yes, that makes sense to me. It does. Because they are a much better team when Matt Stafford is under center. All that being said, okay, Matt Stafford hasn't really been the problem with this team. There have been times where Matt Stafford has been a very good to almost elite quarterback. It's the pieces that are around him. You still don't have a what I would deem a competent running game. You still have a ton of question marks on defense. And look, I know Matt Patricia is a rocket scientist. I know Matt Patricia is a defensive guru. Believe me, I get it. I understand, bro. It all makes sense to me. But when you see it on the field, it just isn't good enough to get wins. And this team hasn't done a good enough job of developing players and putting guys in a position to where they make an impact on the field. And if you need to tell me that Jeff Okudah is going to be that guy who's going to be the put this team over the top and be the tipping point for this roster, I'm going to tell you you're a giant boob. You're an idiot. You just don't get it. Because, again, quarterbacks take roughly a year to develop and get acclimated to the NFL. All right? Again, cornerbacks are a position of luxury. Again, cornerbacks don't just step in and make your team that much better. It just doesn't happen because you need a guy who is going to either put a rush on the quarterback or be able to stop the run at all times. So you need either somebody along the defensive line or you need a linebacker to be able to be that impact player. Cornerbacks basically get thrown at, depending on who you're playing, anywhere from 15 to 45 times a game. And that ball is getting spread all around the field. It's not just going to that one cornerback. This team has put itself in such a bind again. I'm terrified for when the draft takes place, whether it takes place when it's scheduled to or whether it gets pushed out. I'm terrified for what's going to happen on draft day because, again, I have zero to little confidence in this front office and the way that Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia have positioned this team leading up to this draft. I have a ton of concerns.
Everybody has the concerns regarding the talent, and unfortunately, I understand what they're doing. And to summarize, Adam and I are concerned because of the fact that Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia have doubled down on the notion that we're going to fill this roster with our guys. But their guys consist of guys that are 30 years old that might not perform at the same level that you need. Don't you think the Lions would be better with DJ Reader and Byron Jones? Don't you think they'd be better? What you hear is, the Lions had a chance to get James Bradbury, but he chose the Giants. Now, he didn't badmouth the Lions, but they made him a significant offer. You recognize that, you know what? If you are a general manager, sometimes you got to make the tough decision, and the tough decision would have been to keep Darius Slay. The tough decision would be to pay Graham Glasgow. The tough decision would be to say, okay, you know what? Bringing in our guys talent-wise, helps out with the room, but is a 31-year-old Jamie Collins really going to be the guy that's going to produce that we're going to hope to make plays in the fourth quarter? I think he can teach the system faster to the young cats, but the NFL is about talent. It's about high-end talent. And, after the draft, after free agency, you even had Dan Orlovsky blasting the Lions. And the way in which he said it was, after looking at what the Lions did, and it pained him. It pained him to rip Matt Patricia. It pained him to say this. He said, looking at what the Lions did collectively, that the Lions are now in the position where they got to hit on each and every pick in order to even be somewhat competitive in 2020. You know how bad that is? Because it's impossible. It's 50%. It's a crapshoot. They haven't done enough, and I think that that will end up being the death knell, the death blow to the Lions, is that they decided to sacrifice talent in order to keep their version of a happy locker room. And that's unacceptable. I think that'll be the big mistake that in 5 years, 10 years from now, Bob Quinn will say, yeah, you know what, we just didn't get it done. We didn't bring enough high-end talent to the Detroit Lions. And it's very, very much an indictment on what he's doing, the stubbornness that he's willing to go out and get 3 to 4 ex-Patriots to come in here and try and help Matt Patricia. That is the height of crazy, in my opinion.
Trading away good players for system guys.
At the very least, you're even.
Doesn't make
I don't think they're worse. You're even. You got rid of Devon Kennard for Jamie.
They're the same guy. They're like the same exact guy. You got rid of Darius Slay, who is, in my estimation, a top 10 corner in the league. He's about to hit 30, so he'll be on the downside of his career. But you went out for a guy like Desmond Trufant, essentially the same guy in the same predicament.
There's a 20% chance that Stafford gets hurt. If he gets hurt, Chase Daniel's not going to get you 5 wins.
Yep. It just the way this team, the way this team has been put together, it's you haven't gotten marginally better anywhere. You again, like you said, you've treaded water. You've moved on from guys, and then brought essentially the same guy in.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It doesn't make sense. Like even if you look at the right tackle position, right? So Big V compared to Ricky Wagner, they're basically the same guy. Right, exactly. The push. And then you got rid of Graham Glasgow, who's a very good right guard. So are you necessarily better now? I don't think so. You know, you hurt your offensive line again. It doesn't make sense to me, man.
No, it
really doesn't.
It's tough. It's tough all the way around, and you look at it, it's just, but I'll ask you this because I think more and more people are starting to read between the tea leaves, and I think more and more people are coming onto your side and assuming that, you know what, based on the way Bob Quinn's acting, they're starting to believe what you believe, that there's no way these guys are getting fired, even if they do go 6-7 wins, because of the fact that they're trying to sell everybody on this rebuild. And remember, you know, I did throw out there a little bit of positivity saying that, you know, Bill Belichick, when he went to the Patriots, he brought several Jets with him. But guess what, cuz? He won the Super Bowl in year 3. Okay? This was the year that he secured talent and he won the Super Bowl with the Patriots in year 3. So, do you think the Lions are anywhere closer to the Super Bowl?
Hell no. Not even close.
Not even close. So, it's just crazy. But I'm starting to believe that they're going to probably get a 4th year. And one more class of free agents, one more class of draft picks. I don't think they're gonna get fired after 3 years. I don't see it.
I've been telling you for weeks now.
Yeah,
it's not gonna happen.
They're not.
There's no way.
Like that. If he does get fired in year 3, I'll be like, damn, that was the most calm and cool general manager that was told basically win or else. I mean, he's just like, okay, I'm just gonna go get my guys from New England, a plethora of them, and they're older. I'm just gonna go out there and maneuver it around and take a corner that takes time. And, you know, he just acted so passively. I'd be like, man, if that was me, literally, it'd be like, okay, we're going to blow out this cap. We're going to win in 2 years. We're going to get Reeder. We're going to get Jones. We're going to get, you know, Cam Newton. We're going to get everybody. We're going to stock up and every single name's going to come here. We're going to get Melvin Gordon. We're going to get Melvin Gordon and Todd Gurley. You know what I mean? We're just going to get them all. But at the same time, this is how, you know, he said it. Listen, Bob Quinn, sometimes we'll just tell you straight up that this is what I'm doing. He said, I'm going to, in his season-ending presser, I have to look for the future and the present at the same time. I'm not going to sacrifice that, and that's his decision. That's his prerogative. But I just don't think, I think a lot of us just don't see this working this fast, at least. I mean, okay, if we want to be fair, they went from a 3-win team to maybe a 7-win team with the moves that they made. And then the draft picks that they get potentially could get them 1 or 2 more wins. But I'll ask you this. You put your money down. Vegas now and the sites have it, you know, in the neighborhood of 6.5 wins. Got your $100. You got your, you know, saving from the government and you put some money down. Over under 6.5 wins. Got to go just a little bit over. I think they're looking like 7-19.
I think they look like a 7-win team. And again, that's what having Matt Stafford will do for you, right? Yeah, so you bring Matt Stafford back and Okuda.
Stafford and Okuda get you 7 wins.
I swear to God, if they draft Okuda, I'm going to scream. I will probably go on one of my Twitter rants.
No, just hope they take him at 5, or they trade with the Chargers and take him at 6.
Dude, I don't know. I just don't want that, man. I don't want it. I don't see it. I just don't think it makes you a better team in the long run. Gotcha. You know what I mean? It just, you want an impact player, and by the long run, I mean, this season that's upcoming. I just don't see grabbing Okuda and putting him on this team. I just don't think it helps you in the long run of this season, because the cornerbacks just take time to develop. Exactly. And I don't care that he can just come in and you think he's going to start right away. No. I want a guy who's going to either put pressure on the quarterback or score touchdowns. That's what you need.
Go and research the quarterbacks that they're going to play this year. They're going to play some elite level quarterbacks, and that's including Tom Brady with the Bucks. So they're going to throw right at Okuda, and he's going to be tested real fast. So it's going to be fascinating, and we'll be here along the way at the Detroit Sports Podcast to break it all down. What else you got on the lines? What else is on your mind?
I've got this mock draft that I found. I actually have 2 of them. If you want to indulge me here, CBS right now is giving me a little bit of a hard time, and hopefully we don't pick up their audio. Looks like we might be okay. Nope, hold on, give me 1 second. All right, there we go. So I've got 2 mock drafts for you. I've got one coming from RJ White, and in this mock draft, the Detroit Lions make a big-time trade, massive trade, with Jacksonville. Jacksonville moves up to number 3 and flip-flops with Detroit. So what they say is, while Gardner Minshew flashed as a rookie, I don't think he's locked in as a long-term QB. Having sold off veterans for a lot of draft capital, I can see the Jaguars packaging their first 2-round picks or 1 plus Yannick Naugi, I don't know, I'm not sure, and kicking in number 165 to beat a Miami offer for Tunga Vailoa, who would be their number 1 pick in many drafts if the medicals check out.
Is this the one I read where this is the one where Okuda falls to 9?
This is the one where Okuda falls till 7.
Okay.
So basically how the draft goes is Burrow goes 1, Chase Young number 2, Jags flip with Detroit, and Tua goes number 3. Isaiah Simmons goes number 4 to the Giants. Yeah. Sitting at 5, Miami takes the offensive lineman Tristan Wirfs. Herbert goes 6 to the Chargers. Okuda goes 7 to the Panthers at pick 8. So Miami now trades with Arizona, and they get their quarterback in Jordan Love. Okay. Now, Detroit at pick 9, this is from the trade with Jacksonville, right? So it says the Lions trade back with the Jags, pick up number 20, as well as number 9, and a mid-round pick plus this one, and get top defensive tackle in the class, a player who could be a fit for them at number 3 anyways. That's a big win for the Detroit front office in Derek Brown.
Yeah, it's okay. At 9, that's value. I could deal with that. You get a player, you get some more draft picks. If that's the guy that you fall in love with, you can get Marlon Davidson maybe later in the 2nd round too, if he's kind of fallen a little bit. So I look at it and I say that's okay. But Derek Brown, I think, is a player that has potential, but at the same time, you're just looking at it like, if you're gonna just pick a player like that, why not potentially just stay at 3 and hope for Chase Young? Why not?
Here's the thing, because you add another pick in that first round. So with their 20th pick in the first round, they pick up Christian Fulton, the cornerback out of LSU. Nice. So the Lions use the second first rounder that they acquired from the Jags in the trade down to bolster the talent at corner after dealing Darius Slay. So I like that. So now you've addressed your D-line as well as your cornerback position, and I think you get a lot of value with both those picks. Now I have another mock draft. This is not one that you put together, but this is another 3-rounder, all right? And I like what you did with your 3-rounder. You guys go check that out. John's doing great work at SI.com, so go check it out. He's doing a fantastic job. So now in this mock draft, so at pick 3, the Lions take Okuda. It says the team traded Darius Slay and signed Desmond Trufant. Trading out of this pick would be ideal, but it'll be hard to pass on Okudah here if they stay put. So that happens in round 1. So it's Okudah at 3. Now we go to round 2. Now I think this is going to make you happy. Round 2, and look, I've talked about them addressing the running back position, all right? This is not necessarily the guy that I want, but I understand why you go after this guy. I think this makes you happy, though. Round 2, pick number 3, 35 overall. The Lions add one of the top backs in the draft, lifting some of the load at running back from Kerryon Johnson. DeAndre Swift and Johnson should be tough for opposing defenses.
Yes.
So they pick up DeAndre Swift, running back out of Georgia, with the 3rd pick of the 2nd round. Now, just to make it clear, Jonathan Taylor is still there, and that's the guy who I want. I think the guy's a bell cow. Also, J.K. Dobbins is still there. A.J. Espinosa is still there. So there's a lot of talent still hanging out in that 2nd round. All right, now we move on to round 3. And in round 3, Detroit comes back and, again, address their secondary. The Lions pick up Duron Harmon to help the safety depth, and here they find more talent for the position in Burgess, who would likely play early for Detroit. So pick 3 of round 3, 67th overall. The Lions pick up Terrell Burgess, safety out of Utah.
These are good.
You've helped address now your secondary again with the safety as well as your cornerback, and you've addressed your running back. I don't necessarily have a problem with this. Would still like you to at some point address either your linebacking core or your defensive line. Malik Harrison is still available in round 3. He's a linebacker out of Ohio State. I would love for them to be able to add a player like that. Again, A.J. Espinosa was available in the 2nd round. Somebody to put some pressure on the quarterback is what I would like.
I like this. I like these talent. I like these mock drafts. A lot of them have been really good at the Draft Network, the Draft Wire, SI.com. A lot of the mock drafts have been very realistic and very positive. I like the fact that now we're starting to get closer, so the mock drafts are starting to look and feel like what the draft could look like. So definitely pay attention to the later rounds, because that's where Bob Quinn's going to have to hit. And you can get some valuable players in the late rounds as well, especially in a deep wide receiver class. But there's great jack linebackers. There's some talent that you can get later on in this year's draft. So these mock drafts that you found pretty good, and they actually improve and would probably get the Lions on the winners list, because if you paid attention out there, the Lions probably made a lot of losers lists in terms of how they handled free agency. I mean, I wrote that they won the division, but, spoiler alert, it really wasn't because the Lions made a plethora of amazing moves. It was really by default, in that the rest of the division was absolute dog shit in terms of what they did. The marquee move was extending Kirk Cousins. So I said that, I wrote that the Lions were the clear winners of the division, but there's a caveat in that the other teams didn't do that well. So it's like the Lions get a C+ and everyone else gets a D. So in that sense of it, Bob Quinn's got to do a hell of a job. I agree with Orlovsky, man. He's got to hit, and he's got to hit royally. It's just too many holes right now at this point in time with the Lions. But these mock drafts are great, man. I eat them up. I can see why people write 15 of them and they enjoy. I mean, there's sites just dedicated to mock drafts. It's fun to explore what the Lions can do.
Yeah, no, I love them too. Look, mock drafts are basically fun mental practice just to kind of see who's available when the Lions could be drafting somebody and see how it would fit with the team. I love them. You do a great job with them. You guys really go check out SI.com with John leading the charge for your Detroit Lions. Does a fantastic job. Just put up a mock draft of his own. These two were from CBS.
Yes, sir.
Both of them giving you a little bit of a different take, with one making a trade and one not making a trade. I've seen what you could get in 3 rounds as opposed to the first round. So, look, Bob Quinn has dug a hole for himself, and he has to hit on at least 75% of these picks, I think, in this year's draft. Okay.
Couple quick hitters around the NFL. I want to get just your first thought, your first opinion when I bring it up. Darius Slay, will he be productive? Will he get playoff wins in Philly?
Yes.
Okay. Tom Brady, how fucking weird does that look with him in a Bucs jersey?
It's so strange. It's so strange.
It looks strange, but after you get by and get past the initial shock, bro, that team is stacked. He's got a chance to be.
Dude, he's got weapons everywhere.
I don't see Super Bowl wins, but I see maybe a playoff run. Bruce Arians, I see a good development in 2 years if they get a developmental quarterback. I'm not so upset by that move. Phillip Rivers going to Indy, crazy or potential sneaky good move?
I think for the Colts, sneaky good move, right? So you've upgraded at quarterback. If you're Phillip Rivers, it's a change of scenery, and if you look at what they have in their running back position, I think it helps him out a little bit. I think you've got some talent at wide receiver. If your offensive line can hold together and be healthy for the season, I think this is a good move for Phillip Rivers as well as the Colts.
Okay. Former Lion that moved on that will have the most success. Is it Sam Martin? I mean, half of them went to the Broncos, which is kind of hilarious. Denver was like, hell yeah, fire sale in Detroit. They picked up Sam Martin. They picked up Driscoll. They picked up Graham Glasgow. I think Rashawn Melvin moving on to Jacksonville was a waste. I don't think he's going to do anything there. I think potentially it's going to come down to Slay. You know what? On the down low, I think Devon Kennard in Arizona is a match made in heaven. That guy at home, playing in front of his fans, can be someone that makes Cliff Kingsbury and that defense look really, really smart in terms of picking up a guy. Devon Kennard is going to be productive in that scheme there. So I just think that some of these X-lines that are going to be sprinkled across the league are going to do well. But I think that Graham Glasgow has the potential to become a star in the league.
I think Graham Glasgow lands in a position where it's absolutely perfect for him. I think Kennard, his snaps will probably be limited, so it won't be as impactful as you might want to see. But I think he's going to be a key piece for that defense, and I think Slay's going to feast in Philly. So I think three X-Lions are going to have great 2020 seasons.
Good stuff. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to this edition of Doc and Jock.
The quarantine versions.
The quarantine version of 2020. We'll look back on this, and definitely we will recall the time when we had to stay at home because of the coronavirus that shut down sports. For the Jock, Adam Strozinski, follow him on Twitter at AdamRSTROZ. Follow the network at Detroit Podcast. If you've agreed or disagreed with anything that you've heard here today on this episode, head on over to the Flick Chat application, join Detroit Sports' newest headquarters, and you can debate us. You can listen to podcasts. And I want to thank the fine sponsors that make it possible for us to turn on Skype and push the record button, Motor City Pawnbrokers, the DFS Doctors, and Flick Chat. Cause this was fun, man. 45 minutes just flew by. I could do this again periodically here and again, but I can't wait to get back in the studio and hit you up in a couple weeks.
Yeah, absolutely, man. This was a good time. I'm glad we've got the capabilities to do this when we can't be together. This was a good time. This was fun. But I miss the studio. I miss seeing your face across from me.
No doubt about it. For the Jock, Adam Strozinski, I'm the Doc, John Macaroon. See you guys for sure each and every Thursday when we release new episodes of Doc and Jock.